Hey, Phuc, so welcome back to What the
How's it going?
Phuc. Well, I can't believe we're on episode 7
It
already,
is.
Roberto.
It's episode 7. Like, pretty awesome.
Yeah, I just can't believe that we were gonna do this and we were dragging our feet all the time. And now like 7 weeks later it's actually kind of fun and I'm digging it right now. Hopefully the audience is digging it too. So what do you think so far?
I hope everybody's liking it.
You, we think you think we're doing
like people are watching it, so I'm guessing something's being done right. So and it's hopefully helping out everybody who's actually and like checking out like all the stuff we're doing and we're saying. And let's hope it's useful. And at some
yeah,
point
and
we'll
like
get some feedback from somebody that is be like, yes, thank you guys, you changed my life.
yeah, exactly. And the other thing is like so here's how I knew it kind of like meant something. So I have an intern who works for me, and he told me he listened to all the episodes up to episode 5
Oh, that's
already, and
awesome.
so he's looking forward to episode 6 when it comes out, because I think it's still being edited by you. And then someone in the market, I actually went to Costco the other day, and I met this guy, and he's like, I've been listening to your podcast. I was like,
That's
whoa,
awesome.
how did he know? I guess through LinkedIn. And so I think it's starting to resonate with some folks, and I think only like 50 subscribers or whatever, 60 subscribers, but we haven't really quite come out yet. But on Friday, I'm wearing this shirt. You see the shirt here? What I'm wearing?
Fancy.
The Phuc
Very nice.
Labs shirt, my newest company, along with Mass Realty. We're going to talk about Mass Realty today, but Mass Realty is actually two companies, not one company. So the first company was what we're about to talk about, and then the new company is what you're working on, right,
Yep,
Roberto?
definitely. So like I wasn't at the beginning of this, like of the mass realty part, but I'm definitely can on this second improved and better part.
Were you there? You weren't there for the founding. Your wife
Yes.
was, Magali was there. So I should have Magali on the founding
Yeah.
episode, okay? So we'll do, can we invite Magali tomorrow, next episode, next week? And then she can be part of the founding story of Mass
I'll check
Realty.
it out.
But I'd love to
She's
maybe do
camera
the,
shy though.
yeah,
She,
Scam Shy. Okay, so maybe you can represent her. So maybe you can represent her. But I met Magali, and let me kind of tell you the story of kind of the first iteration of Mass Realty, and then we'll talk about the second iteration of Mass Realty. But let me read you something that I don't think you've ever seen. Okay, it's a little surprise for you, Roberto. Okay,
yeah.
so let me tell you a little bit of the story. Okay, so around this time last year, a little bit more, around July, um, I really wanted to do Mass Realty because I had left my previous business. We'll talk about Phuc Labs later on, but Phuc Labs was not around yet, and my entire focus was on Mass Realty. Okay, and I had gone and tried to raise money, and I wasn't having much success. And I finally talked to one of the people might have heard of, Chi. Remember Chi from episode 1? So I went to basically Chi and I said, Chi, I need a favor. Can you please buy some of the shares of my last company? And here's why, right? And I wrote, and then really like, I think the best writing that I did from 10 p.m. I remember that it was 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. I wrote like a two-pager. I'd like to read you the two-pager. A plea to him why he should basically buy my shares and give me $250,000. $250,000. That's a lot of
Yeah.
money. So when you raise money, right? Like I said, you always have to have that first person cut you the check. So the first person in the first company was Don Jones. The second person was Yahim Shas. It has to be an individual who believes in you. And so I was like, Chi, please believe in me. I need to start a company. I can go work for someone. I could probably make a lot of money, being an executive somewhere or doing something with my coding or my management or whatever. But I need to start a company. I need to try Mass Realty again. And here's why. So you mind if I just spend some time reading
Okay.
it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So imagine you're him,
And
and you haven't seen me in what, like, I think when I was 20, when I last saw
okay,
Chi. And this is last year or two ago. So I'm
that's been
44.
a while.
So this is 24 years later. All comes full circle. And this is also, I want to give Chi credit, this is how Phuc Labs was born. Because of this 250, the $250,000 not only helped Mass Realty, but then when I got the Phuc Labs idea, I was able to fund the initial prototype and get
We
Phuc Labs going as well. So I actually took, I would say about half of that money went to Phuc Labs
we
actually.
just gave away
So
the
it was
punch.
actually the
I thought
founding
I
stone
didn't
vote.
know if he had given you the money or not. I was gonna Like
He did.
objectively, listen to your pitch.
Yeah, I'll give you the pitch.
Go
Is that
ahead.
cool?
I have
Okay.
$250,000 right here.
This is actually something I wrote. So this is I didn't pitch to him, but essentially this is I'm just gonna read as
Okay.
is. Okay. So so this is the context is I'm trying to pitch. Again, this is the time of COVID when everyone's tight with money and no one wants to kind of like invest in anything. Maybe because this is like July after COVID. COVID happened in
Yep.
March, right? And so people are scared. Like, why would you part with this money? I mean, I know you're friends, but why would I buy these shares from you? Even though the shares might be worth something, it's a lot of hassle and work.
Yeah.
Why? And so here's why. So please, Chi, Master is actually a reboot of Phuc's third company. So I wrote this like as a business summary because he was going to share it with his friends. He was going to share it with his staff to evaluate it. So I want to write in a third party. So I didn't want to sound like I was just writing to Chi, but basically, reconsider. But this is the actual summary itself. So pretend you're a third party. He's in his department, try to evaluate the investment, right? Master is actually a reboot of Phuc's third company. From 2010 to 2015, Phuc bootstrapped a real estate company that was essentially a clone of Zillow or Trulia, but for each state. For example, Mass Realty for Massachusetts, New Hampshire Homes for New Hampshire, so on and so forth. And Phuc was able to bootstrap this business from zero to $1 million plus revenues and expand his license and coverage to 15 states in the U.S. 15, 1-5. And at the peak, his sites generated 4 million monthly visitors, resulting in $40,000 per month of monthly ad revenue across the 15 sites, and generated in $70,000 plus dollars in monthly sales revenue. And in this case, even though Phuc had 15 websites, he only sold it in Massachusetts. So that $70,000 in monthly sales revenue was just for that one state. So things were rocking. But however, in 2015, Google made algorithm changes that reduced his revenue to $800,000. So at the peak, he was making $1 million plus, and now all of a sudden, Google made some algorithm changes, and all of a sudden, you lose 20%, 30% of your revenue.
Like how one like
And
tiny little
yeah.
thing can like just knock out 20%.
Well, we'll talk about that in more
Yeah.
detail. So I'm just going
Go
to
ahead.
keep you right. Okay. At that time, Phuc saw an opportunity to pivot and start clinicalresearch.io, which is the company we'll talk about that that I'm trying to sell the shares for, right? And that's one that was successful. And because he was able to successfully raise money for clinicalresearch.io, otherwise known as Cryo, CRIO, Phuc put Mass Realty into maintenance mode so he can focus on Cryo since someone gave him money for a new business. So the bootstrap business he put into the basically maintenance mode so he can focus on the one that is actually he's active on, right? But since then, most of Mass Realty's websites have died, except for massrealty.com, which still enjoys 300,000 monthly visitors, generates $3,000 still today, $3,000 of residual Google AdSense revenue, just sitting there doing nothing, getting $3,000, and it's still a significant asset, right? You can sell this for a couple $100,000 maybe, or tens of $1,000s at least, right? For example, if you Google Massachusetts real estate, and you can Google this right now as an audience, massrealty.com should be in the top 5, right? If not the top 2. Even today, you can just go there right now as an audience member, right? And Mass Realty, basically, the new idea is Mass Realty would be revamped under the same branding, but maintain the same asset of being number 1 or number 2, whatever it is, right? But the new idea is simple, right? Instead of using Google and leaning on them to get us customers and all that, we offer buyers a 2% rebate for any home they purchase as long as they're a member of our service, which costs $50 a month. And in the U.S., the average home commission is 2.5%, which is normally pocketed by the buyer's agent, right, in quotes, while giving consumers essentially zero monetary value. For example, when a consumer buys a $1 million home, they very often find the home themselves, right? You find the home yourselves, right? Inspect it during the tour and make an offer, usually without their agent offering much useful input, right? And with this, quote, great service and a smile, the buyer's agent receives 2.5%, or in this case, 25% commission, $25,000 commission for basically just being there, right, in the right spot at the right time, right? So in comparison, right, with our service, a consumer can buy a subscription with us. Let's say a 3-month subscription, and we have a 3-month subscription for $120, or a lifetime membership for $200, right? Well, you can basically do it for the rest of your life, like a Costco membership for the rest of your life, basically, right? And when you buy any home, like for example, the $1 million home, you're going to receive 2% or $20,000 back, and you get this within 1 to 2 weeks of when you actually get the keys, right? So once we get the money, we deposit in our bank, and then we
That's
just give it to
awesome,
you.
right away.
Because we basically we pocket the difference, right? So we pocket the $5K because we help you with the paperwork, we guide you, actually do all the stuff to protect you legally, but then you basically did all that work yourself.
So it's like huge.
And that's basically, and then I mentioned blah 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 additional stuff, but that's how you pitch someone, right? That's the one pager, and guess what he did?
They'll give you the money. Obviously, it's awesome.
He did it.
Because like all the numbers are there, all the info is there, it's straight up, and everything makes sense, and it's still functioning. Just need that boost.
Yeah, you can Google it. You can Google it right now. It's like wow,
Google it.
and I'm very proud of it because I figured that out myself. So you want to hear how that actually the details of what happens? So you ask some really pertinent questions, right? It's cool, right? So how do you go from $0 to $1 million? And I can actually, if you want, as Phuc fans, if you want me to actually share this with you, this is a real pitch summary. So if you want to pitch somebody, this is how you pitch somebody. You tell a story, right? You engage them. You say, "Wow, that makes a lot of sense. I would buy that product." Oh yeah, your insights makes so much sense. I can see my brother-in-law, my mom, my cousin, everyone doing this, and this has to be the future. It's inevitable, and I can see why you're the one doing it. Because you have an unfair advantage. You can do something special. You're a broker. Now you've been doing this for a while with your wife, right? And you think that you raise some money, especially with my branding from Clinical Research IO, but I had a hard time, and I had to basically beg She, and she was fortunate enough to cut me this check, and that changed my life forever. Because with this money, I was able to do not only Mass Realty but Phuc Labs, the T-shirt I'm wearing, guys, right now, which is also, I mean. If you think this business is from 1 to 10, honestly, Roberto, let's say you're an investor, right? What would you honestly say for this presentation?
I would go for it. Like definitely. Like I'd sit down with my board and be like, "Listen, this makes sense. Like it's everything that is being presented there is relevant information, and it's stringed in a way that it's relatable. So like you said, like you're telling a story here, and the story I want to be part of it. So I was like, there you go.
Yeah, so this reminds me of, did we ever talk about Shackleton's job posting?
Nope.
Right? So Shackleton, did I tell you the story of
No, I don't
Shackleton?
even know what that is.
Okay. So Shackleton, you know the North Pole, right? You know the South Pole and the
Yes,
North Pole?
heard of them. That's where Santa lives.
Okay. So let me so Shackleton is a famous explorer. Okay. And he was trying to basically get people to go explore with him through the dangerous South Pole. Okay.
Oh yeah,
And-
we talked about this in another episode, and it's coming back. Shackleton.
Yeah, we read
yes.
that, right?
I just remember the name.
So that's what you're trying to say. Like, so again, just to repeat that. Okay, so men wanted. Here's the job posting
Yeah.
itself. You can actually Google this. Men wanted for hazardous journey. Small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, but honor and recognition in case of success. Ernest Shackleton, 4 Burlington Street. For real. That's a job posting, and 20,000 men applied, or something incredible. 2,000 people applied. And literally, okay, the reason I mentioned this, we just had a job posting, and I just reviewed a bunch of resumes for Phuc Labs, and we posted something similar for the mission that we're doing, and we had like 100 people apply, just from one school, right, for that job posting, because we wrote it something like this, because it's so easy to recruit people. It's so easy because you're trying to do something. You're part of a revolution, right? So back then, let me start back in the old days and why Mass Realty needed to exist the first time, but even right now, right? So do you know what SEO is? Do you know what search engine
We talked
optimization
about
is?
it last episode. Actually, yeah.
Okay, but I don't think you understand how important it
Right now?
is for the
Like at this
evolution.
point, at this point,
Yeah, in
in time
terms
and
of
everything, it's like very important.
Okay, so how important do you think SEO was in terms of that transition from, let's say, a Yellow Pages world? A Yellow Pages bound by paper, bound by information that doesn't change until every
Yeah.
year when you publish a new version, bound by people paying for it to these intermediaries who have very low competition, bound by information being not as diverse or freely available to the common people, so they can actually make opinions and yell at each other or meme or do NFTs and do social,
Yeah.
right?
No, it's vital.
Versus SE
That's a
Vital.
vital aspect of everything. Like at this point where like everything fluctuates so fast, and it's true. Back in the days, you used to get like one huge book delivered every year, and that was it. For the next year,
Yeah.
this is the information you have on this individual and other like millions, and that was it. Like even
You remember that time though? You remember the yellow
yeah,
pages?
yeah, I
Do you remember
remember
like
getting
looking up?
them,
Just
and
tell
and
me
then
about
like and
what was the last time you used the yellow pages? What year was it? You
it's been a
remember?
while. I remember my parents having them, but like they would keep the ones from. I think they kept every Yellow Pages book they ever got, so they had just had like this pile in the attic or like in the backyard. It was just there, like this huge pile of. And I remember,
But remember all the bullshit you would have on paper. You would have yellow pages,
and he had all the
right?
ads.
You would order
Yeah, yeah,
magazines.
yeah.
You order a
Remember
magazine,
that like
and you wait for your magazines
the
to
cable
come.
TV, cable
What else?
TV schedule. The TV schedule wasn't.
Yes, you would buy
Yeah,
like
that
TV
was like
Guide, right? We would pay to know what's on TV, and you would wait, and you'd
yeah,
watch at 8 p.m.
yeah.
exactly, because if you didn't, you'd miss the show. And then
I
Google
remember
came
like
along.
even like those the for the video games. I used to have like a Sega Genesis, and they played like Echo the Dolphin, and I used to buy these like Nintendo books. That it was like this the name of the magazine, and they would give you all these like cheats that you got to learn. Like somebody actually went through the whole map and drew it, and so you it was like a huge maze. But if you didn't have that, I mean, like you had to go to the store and get it, or you just like suck it up
Yeah.
and see how it goes with the video game you couldn't even save on. So yeah, it was kind of like man, the the Stone Ages were back.
But like look at real estate. Okay, so real estate was you go into some
Yeah,
village or some I
you
don't know
walk around.
some town in Texas, and you'd be like, tell me 5 people who want to sell you their
Yeah,
ranch,
yeah, yeah.
and you'd be like, oh, this guy knows the 5 people, and then you'd have a real estate agent, and they walk you around the town saying, Joe, do you mind if I check out your cows and your
Yeah,
barn?
yeah.
And Joe let them in because he knows Frank, because Frank's the real estate agent, and Frank would say,
Yeah.
okay, Joe, if I sell this house, you give me 5%, okay? We good? Because Joe wants to
Mm.
retire and move, I don't know, to Nebraska where his family is from. I don't know, something like that. So that currently exists right now.
No,
And
no.
but everything else has changed. It's incredible. Like everything else has changed. Like when you go look for, I don't know, let's say I want to find a barber. I used to go say, hey, who cuts real good hair here? Yeah, well,
You
good
get like a
haircut. And like
reference,
now you're like,
like somebody that
there's
knows somebody.
apps, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's so many options, right? But yet real estate is still antiquated. And I was like, wow, there's only one person who's winning right now. And you know who was winning at that time when I was trying to start this company, right, was Zillow. Right? And I realized, oh my God, I was remember to recap what was going on. We were winding down, up, down, and actually I want to let you know that my partner shared a space with me. I think it was 222 3rd Street in Cambridge. It was a nice space. It was shared. All of these startups were in there, and he was doing Language International, which he eventually did with his then girlfriend and then eventually wife, right, fiance wife. And then he moved to Germany, and I was in that space, and I was sharing with other startups. And that was like when I moved to another space in Kendall Square, and that became pretty much my home for like the last whatever until I moved recently. But that was our base for Mass Realty essentially, right? And we basically grew it from zero to the first year $300,000 in revenue, right? And the way it was like I realized, like the Confucius says, "May you live in interesting times." My, what interesting times do we
Yeah,
live in,
definitely.
right? I
Like it is a special
as a
time.
recap, I was a college student, yeah, and I didn't know any better. I just lucked into it. I was like, someone who was my roommate said, "Hey, let's do something." In the internet, I was like, "What's this Wild West thing you're talking about?
Hmm.
What's this like gold rush you're talking about? Right? What's this .com boom that we're about to enter?" And what's the next 20 years look like? Well, we happen to be like in the right spot at the right
Yeah.
time. Right? But that's what you have to do. Like it's like you have to put yourself in the movie that you want to be part of. I'm like, and I was working, making, actually pretty decent money at consulting, and I gave up that to do up down. Remember, as a recap, and then we were winding that down. And actually, just to finish the up down, I actually paid myself $120,000 during the entire time at up down. Right. So remember, I said like you don't have to starve yourself.
No, like why would
Okay.
you?
And it worked pretty hard. It worked
Man,
pretty
it's
hard.
That, like, if there's one thing you never get back is your time. So might as well
Yeah.
like make it
So, but,
worthwhile.
it has, yeah, and I had started a family, had a
Yes.
baby in 2008, but then this is winding down. So 2010, remember 2010, this is winding. This is when I started Mass Realty, and I basically just like, let's do this myself. Screw the investors, right? I don't need anyone. I just got $1,000 a month. Remember when I said I had took this website Mass Realty where I was paying. There was an existing site that my wife was using to get leads for her. Right, I had built for her during my consulting days, and I was using that same site. I had done SEO optimizations where Google can see things better. So it's like this ever-knowing eye of Sauron. You ever the Lord of the Rings, eye of
Oh,
eye of
yeah.
Sauron, right? And SEO is understanding how to reverse engineer this one dude named Matt Cutts. So when Google, whatever, it was this person, this single individual. His name was Matt Cutts. You can look this up. Matt Cutts would drive fear into SEO optimizers everywhere. Matt Cutts was the god of SEO because he was a coder, the architect who controlled the search engine algorithm. Back then, it was a single person. Now they have AI, they have other things, they have corporations, they have like all these things that feed the AI and feed these things. But it was a single person, and this guy would make sweeping changes and just ship them, and he'll name it something cute like Panda, and then he'll screw literally industries, and they would fear the names that these updates that have like these cute names, but they would destroy whole companies and create new ones. It was incredible.
You'd understand like this thing way better. Like, was he any good, or was it just like the
Matt
kind of
Cutts?
job that he was the one doing it because he was the one there?
Okay, so I was the Matt Cutts of Updown.
Yeah, but like, what was Matt Cutts actually
Well,
good
all
at
these
what
other
he was
companies.
doing?
So that's why I was so good at SEO because I knew what he felt. So I can answer that question, right? You have all these concerns, and actually back then Google was actually pretty ethical. Maybe not so now because they have so many other investors and people come in, right? But he actually was doing a pretty good job. But here's what happened, and I'll tell you the inside story. So let's say I search for the word shoes. What do you think should show up, I don't know, in 2010 when I was doing this?
Shoes.
Just like 10, 12 years ago, 10 to 11 years
I
ago.
don't know, like the
What do you think the number one thing back
10 years
then?
ago. Oh, I should get like all these. If I were to Google shoes, I'm guessing like the most famous shoes would come up, like the hardest ones to get, or the ones articles were written on. I don't know, like written on like some sort of Jordan shoes or something like that.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
Nike,
yeah,
right?
something like
Converse.
this new model.
Maybe some shoe store like
Yeah,
I don't know,
some shoe store
like
named
Zappos and
shoes.
stuff like that. Okay, would you think JCPenney should be number one?
No.
But JCPenney was number one.
Okay. Like on
Okay.
sheer volume.
Now let's say, what do you think should be number two? Well, it was the shoe section on eBay. Okay. And then number three would be some other person who would pay millions of dollars to what was called black hat SEO consultants. So there were SEO consultants, and there were white hat and black hat. Do you know what white hat was? And you know what black hat
No.
is?
I've never actually heard of this. What are they?
You
I
never
don't
heard
know
of this
black
before.
hat.
Okay. So what do you think of white hat is? Do you think the white witch is good or the black witch is good?
I think
Which
yes,
hat?
the white witch is definitely the good one.
Okay, so if you're compliant, then you must follow the rules of how we play this game. Right? So imagine we have Squid Games right now, right? We have Squid Games where if you follow the rules that Google gives you, you will live. If you don't follow their rules, they will ban you and punish
That's
you
crazy.
because you're cheating. Okay? So the rules are this. Everybody has one vote. Okay? And we can't cheat by buying people's vote. Do you think that in a fair democracy we shouldn't do that? We shouldn't buy people's votes?
They shouldn't buy it, just sway it, if anything. But like,
Yeah.
Actually, plain out purchasing your
Right.
vote would be like it's not fair.
Okay. How about the Russians? Should they make fake accounts and then pretend to chat from those accounts and basically like have a louder voice than everyone else?
No.
Okay. And how about can you basically pretend you're from the White
Okay.
House, but then you're not from the White House, but then recommend something? I don't know, recommend a product endorsed by Joe Biden, your president, from the White
No.
House,
That's
and they
wrong.
film a fake White House, right? That's okay. So how do you control that? How do you write something that controls that? How do you prevent that?
I don't know, like a probability thing. Like how probable is it that this would happen?
So basically, you'd write an algorithm that says, okay, if these things happen, the chances of someone cheating goes up.
Yes.
Right? So let's say I see that all of a sudden this site gets a lot of links. Huh. All of a sudden this candidate gets a lot of votes. Let's see
Yeah.
why.
If it's out of
Oh
nowhere,
look,
I think we should like take a look into it.
no. This is
Yeah.
actually good because that's my job. My job from Google is okay. That's good. What's new
Yeah.
in town? Because I'm starving for what's new in town. What's new in town? So the first thing that you do have to do is say, think about it. So this is what I thought. I said, okay, so what would Matt Cutts do? So if Matt Cutts is okay, I want to find out what's good, what's new in town, and I want to make sure that Matt Cutts thought like I did, and I thought like Matt Cutts, and we were symbiotic. Because if I thought like Matt Cutts, then I can use the rules to be white
It's a
hat,
channel Mad Cuts.
right?
Be Mad Cuts.
Right. So Matt said, and Google said, if you write good content and people like it, they'll link to you.
Hmm.
And when they link to you, try to use a vote that makes sense. Like, let's say you write something about on podcasting that they say this is a good podcasting
Yeah.
episode. Or let's say you sell shoes, you say JC Penney is a great place to buy
Which is
shoes.
a credibility aspect there, like of your reputation. It's like if my mom says this is like
course.
this is a great podcast, like how like unbiased
So how do you do
is
that?
she? Involving.
Yeah, so how do you know who's talking is full of
Yeah,
shit,
yeah,
or
yeah.
like you're right, who's full of shit? So if a doctor told you to go to a hospital, would
Yeah,
you listen to that
definitely,
person?
yes.
Of course. Versus a mechanic, right? So Matt would say, well, if your website that you're coming from was something that's reputable, has a good page rank, so we'll have a little credit score. We'll have a little social credit score here, and we'll call it page rank. But instead of social credit score, which is what people trying to do today, right, in terms of like people, right, we'll do social credit scores for sites. Okay, we'll call sites credit scores, right? We'll call it the page rank, and then we actually have page rank for every site. So let's say you're Mass Realty at the beginning, you'd be 0 or not ranked at all. Then you'd be 0. Then you'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say you're Google, you'd be like 8 or 9. And it was kind of like the Richter scale. You know the Richter scale in terms of earthquakes and stuff like
I
that.
used to live in Ecuador, like right next to Chile, and all these like we had at least like a couple every like month, at least.
So a quick 6 versus a quick 5, like it's not just like a 1. It's not 20% more. How much more is it?
On what? What?
It's actually like exponentially
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
I think it's like 10
gets
times more,
bad.
something like that. So like when you go 5 to 6%, so that's what your idea was. You wanted to get sites that had high page
Okay.
rank to link to
Yeah,
you to vote.
because they matter.
Okay, and the more if I vote more than one time, let's say I have one site, should I have more than one vote? No, if I vote more than one time, maybe I should share those votes and share that power among many sites, right?
Yeah, because it makes no sense. Like,
Okay.
but the importance of the site is very like it's a big one. It's like if it's not the same.
Yeah,
thing,
yeah. So like, everyone has one vote.
Oprah says,
Everyone has one vote, right?
This place has awesome bread, and then man, like Oprah knows bread, or something like that, and then everybody goes there. So like I understand like the individual that is giving the recommendation has to be like either trustworthy or verified or whatever it is. That makes it so yeah.
Right. So let's say you have a doctor. Let's go back to
Yeah.
the example of the doctor, right? And the doctor says one thing. I can't answer any questions, but if you ask me the best hospital to
Yeah.
go to the one that says on my shirt. That's where I work. It's the best hospital.
Okay.
Or go to my
Yeah,
sister
yeah.
hospital. My sister hospital is also very good, and that one link is gonna be worth so much.
Oh, that's your bias.
Because
there.
not only is the only vote you make, but that page is on your home, on your shirt, right? And so there's certain links that are worth more. Whereas if you have, let's say, a book, okay, and say, hey, look, when you want to get a doctor, here's a book for you. This book has like 50 names of possible doctors for you to pick, and these are our official recommendations. That's not bad. You're in the book, right? But there's 50 of you. So that's 50 points get divided by 50
And how did you
people.
get into that book to begin with?
Well, I mean, that's fair because that's fine with being in the book. Because let's say you're at the hospital, you have a book of recommended psychiatrists, right? That's legitimate, right? Or here's a book of recommended ebooks for people who are pregnant to read, because these are really good books for you to learn more about being pregnant. Perfectly legitimate. Okay, so what's Matt supposed to do? Matt cuts. Everything we just said are all reasonable things that Matt did, right? All reasonable things that Matt did. But here's how you cheat. So does that sound reasonable? All those rules? Did Matt do anything wrong with those choices? You would have made the same. You just made the same choices, didn't you, Roberto? I just asked you all these choices. And you made the same exact choices as him. If someone likes you, they can link to you. If you link more than once, I'll dilute the link value. If you link from your homepage, I'll give you more credit because you're showing, the right up front, like the front side, right? There's certain pages that are more important because if that page is like a book with 50 names on it, that page isn't worth that much. Whereas if there's just one link, it's great. And also, if you know what you're talking about, if you're talking about healthcare and you recommend healthcare, of course you know what you're talking about. So let's have a little extra bonus for relevancy. Okay. And then you go. Yeah, and you go into this. Like, this is cool. I'm gonna start Google. This sounds great. This is an awesome algorithm, just like I did with UpDown. This is great. We can create a simulation of the stock market. We can give $1 million of money, and people would just follow the rules of the game because we're gonna give this a reward of real cash. It's not that much. It's only a few cents. Who's gonna spend time writing a robot to write a buy and sell program where you can buy penny stocks like we did, like I told you last episode? You can buy a penny stock for 1 penny, sell it the next day for 2 pennies, double your money, and you go back and forth. And the way you cheated because the volume wasn't matched, because in real life when you buy sell stocks you affect the market. So people were cheating on UpDown, and the same thing happens on Google, and they call black hat. The white hats are the ones who say those rules are great, Matt. Let me go ahead and do what you just said. And I was white hat. Here's what I said. It'd be useful when you buy a house, Roberto. What if I told you how much to fix your bathroom for, and what part of the bathroom, and how much value your house will gain if you fix your bathroom? Do you think that'd be interesting for you to hear about?
Because first of all, the fact
How
that
about
if
another
I
one?
have to fix anything,
Yeah, go ahead.
it's going to affect the price. And if it's going to make boosted,
Okay. Yeah. So if I wrote the article, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But if I took a plumber, right?
Yeah, it's different.
And the plumber lived down the street from you. Okay.
Like, then you don't really know.
And the plumber lived down the street from you, and then I interviewed him, and I wrote an article featuring him and his services, and say, look, when you fix a bathroom in Dorchester, in whatever, South Boston, where you live specifically, exactly, not just how much, roughly, exactly how much would you charge, roughly, how long would it take, and how much value would this be, and would you fix the kitchen sink, would you fix the bathroom, would you fix this, what's the most value in terms of plumbing? And that article would be so amazing that not only did the reader like it, but do you think the plumber liked it too?
Yeah, it's putting him up front. He's the expert here, so he would definitely like it.
Okay, so you get an email. Get an email as a plumber, and the plumber says, hey, this person from the email says, hey, my name is whatever from Mass Realty. I just featured a plumber down the street from you. Here's a video. Not even a video. Here's an article that we wrote. And we like to feature plumbers to give advice on people who want to buy houses. And in return, we'd hope that if you like it, you give us a link. We'll link to you as well. And then we'll put you in our directory of plumbers. That if people want to hire plumbers, it's free. We won't charge you anything for that. And the only thing we ask is, if we do a good job, if you want, you can give a link. If you don't have to. Okay? And then we do a good job, and we do that article, and you get a link. And half the people would give you links because it's just nice, right? It's called reciprocity.
Exactly. Everybody's just sharing the love and the information, and it's useful for everybody. Like, there's no losers here.
Great. So we do that in Florida. So I do that in Massachusetts. We get a ton of links. It was great. I do that and then I was like, oh my God, the $1,000 that we made. I gave you the spreadsheet, right?
I got it. It's
Right. The $1,000 we made a month, right? Now all of a sudden became 3,000 a month in terms of AdSense. And I was just sitting there collecting this free money. Because remember, AdSense was when someone clicks on an ad on a website, we get paid. And I just get on the 23rd of every month a wire from Google directly into any bank of our choosing. And it was always there on time. Always there on time. And you knew exactly how much it was going to be because they told you the month before, because they take a month to audit it. They reduce it by 1%, 2% maybe because of any issues. And they just cut you the difference. 99% of what they told you the month before you could probably gonna get.
that's it.
And this is some crazy fraud because they want to make sure that they don't pay for anything that's fake. And literally, this is growing every month. I was like, wow. Let's do some math, Roberto, right? So 3,000 is how much? 36,000 a year. The average salary of someone in Massachusetts is like 40,000 a year,
Damn.
right? So 40,000 a year. So you make it. So you almost made more than the average person. And then how about what if you multiply that by, I don't know, 50?
I make you do math. It's like it's 180.
Right? So add a zero, it'll be 360,000, right? Add a 5, that's $1.8 million, right?
Wait.
$1.8 million.
That's a very respectable amount.
Correct, and that was my goal, right? And let's say that first year you had like, I don't know, every month you got 25 leads, 100 leads, whatever the number was, and you sold like 3-4 houses. So we sold at the peak we sold like 80 houses, right? A year. That means we sold like six a month. Now each house you sell, you pay the commission. So we actually take the lead, we give it to the agents who work for us legally. Everything's all legal. They'll make half, we make half. And let's say you sell a $500,000 house, you make 2%, 3%,
But six
right?
a month is like is it
You
like
get
a realistic number?
$10,000.
Like almost like more than one a week.
Yeah, you sell one a week.
Okay.
That's it, right? Let's say you sell one a week. Each time you sell one, you make 4,000, and the agent makes
Okay,
4,000.
pretty good.
So 4,000 a week times 4 is 16,000 a month, right? So you're making 16,000 a month plus another 3,000 in ads. So you're making $20,000 a month sitting there doing nothing, except giving leads to your agents and hiring the agents and setting up the whole platform. And that's what Zillow does. So if you look at Zillow, they get all this data for free,
Just,
or they maybe pay a minimum
sort it out.
amount for it. They host it, and then they have all these ads. And not only that, but all these agents would pay for the zip code that they belong to in order to get the lead from that zip code. And they make $1 billion a year. And I was like, wow, they make $1 billion just on ads. They don't do anything. They don't show any houses. They're just a website. That's it. Literally.
That is a pretty
Yep.
good. Like you're pretty
And-
set up. Like not doing a lot, which is crazy.
Yeah, so 20. Yeah, so 20,000 a month times what? 12 is what? 200 something thousand, 300,000 a year for the first year, right? Pretty damn
You can
good.
live comfortably with 300,000 a year.
So, but I'm saying, why don't I go ahead and just? No, I didn't make that. I mean, we had to pay
Yeah.
rent,
Like it's not all in
right?
your
We
pocket.
had to pay
you know.
expenses. You need like a roughly. You need like a. I said, you need like $1 million really, with like all the basic staff, all the stuff to really and be above $1 million. So my goal is to get to $1 million. Anything above $1 million is all profit.
Well,
And I'm gonna like live this beautiful life, and maybe I can use it as a base to start another company if I need to. But ultimately, this is it, man.
yeah.
So I hired staff. We grew to like 8 people, and then 2005, we went to 300K in 2010 to 500K to 700K to 900K to 1 point something million, and the Google algorithm changed, and we went down to $800,000, and I had to let go, and start to let go of all these people, and that was the worst time of my life, man. Because up down we had to let go of people too, right? We had to let go of people at Mass Realty too, but Mass Realty was my own, like money, my own 2 hands, but also had grown pretty big and pretty profitable. So like it actually became something that was worth something, actually, not just on paper, but in real life, right? And the person who took it away was Matt Cutts. Okay?
Like damn you, Matt Cutts.
And Matt Cutts did this for everybody. Okay, so there was a company, you can look this up. There was a company called Beyond Media, I believe. Okay? They were worth $1 billion. And in 2015, around 2008, at the same time, they went down with us, as well as JCPenney and eBay and all those people who were doing Black Hat. Okay, so the Black Hat people were brought down by Matt Cutts and all his changes and all their changes, but then people like me were caught in the crossfire, so we're collateral
Okay.
damage to the
But it
battle.
wasn't
Okay,
about you. Like,
so
about
let's
you
take a
guys. It
look.
was really like somebody else was messing things up.
Yeah. So let's look at JCPenney, right? That's how would you cheat under the rules? Like so, well, what if I made a fake website called iloveshoes.com?
Okay.
I have a consultant that I pay millions of dollars a year, so they have plenty of time to do this. So they make 100 websites that say I love the shoes, or shoes are the best, and they'll write a bunch of small one-page articles, and they'll link to JCPenney. Okay, now you have all of a sudden a series of links from low-quality websites coming out of nowhere that say shoes, 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 shoes. Now you have a bunch of votes that say shoes, 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 shoes. Ooh, okay. Now they go and say, okay, I like your blog a lot. Do you mind if I pay you $100 to add a link for JCPenney for me? And some people go, oh, well, $100 is kind of cheap. How about 500? Well, 500 is not bad. Okay, let's do it. So they buy a bunch of links from sites that actually exist that are kind of real. That actually have page rank 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then they say shoes, 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 shoes.
Okay.
Same thing, right? And then they'll go and they'll actually go ahead and within JCPenney link to themselves and any companies that they own. They'll link from their properties to JCPenney for shoes,
Okay.
even though those companies have nothing to do with shoes or have any reason to link to JCPenney for shoes. So Matt Cutts says, "Screw this.
Well,
Let's stop the cheaters."
no,
Yeah,
he wasn't wrong.
let's make a rule.
like some people figured out how to cheat the rules here, so like they
Right.
weren't wrong either. It's just like it's.
No, I just playing by the rules.
So
Right.
you want this is the way you set it
But
up.
the rules say you're not supposed
Yeah.
to do that. So yeah, you're not playing by the rules, so you are cheating. Okay, so I said you shouldn't. You're supposed to make a real website. You're supposed to blog about something. You shouldn't make websites. We say you can't do this, and then people kept doing it, and they said we gotta do something about this. We gotta change it. We gotta make a bunch of things that punish people automatically.
Okay.
Don't even ask. No questions. Okay. So if you see a bunch of links randomly that come from low quality websites, they look the same, and came from a site that's relatively
Okay.
new, and all of a sudden they're number one for something, and they beat the competition, then obviously they're cheating,
Yes.
right?
Or they're really good
So
at what
JC
they're
Benny
doing,
went down.
which could be like another aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like not everybody that's been around for a while knows exactly what they're doing, and somebody who just like figures it out is like,
Yeah.
you know what, you're doing it wrong.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got eBay, you got JCPenney, you got the bad guys, you also got us. Here's how you got us. We went to Florida. We got that plumber to give us a link that said we're a really good website for Florida real estate, for homes for sale. The plumber loved us, gave us that link. We did so well, we just went from 0 to 20 to 50.
Okay.
All those websites were crappy because the plumber doesn't know anything about hosting a website. He just bought something on WordPress or Drupal, whatever, or Wix.com, whatever random website. So it looks like randomly crap. Some of them are new. Okay, it looks like we either paid for it or somehow cheated because they all look the same. And they all say instead of shoes, 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 they say Florida real estate, Florida real estate. And all of a sudden you're number one for Florida real estate. You're making $15,000 a month in Florida. That's how much we were
Pretty
making. Okay, just on ads. And we were about to launch and create a sales team, right? So we made 5 times more in Massachusetts, in Florida, at the peak, and then all of a sudden it went to 7,000 and went to 5,000, right? And it went down because we were number one, and we were no longer number one because we were supposedly cheating.
Ah man.
Okay. So this entire time, all we did wrong was we should have said instead of Florida real estate, say something else, right? Say like you're good for Orlando real estate, or you're good for and that diversity was the thing that got
Okay.
us, right? And I think that was the only thing that killed us. But we didn't know.
Yeah, no, and then
And actually, that didn't matter for a long time. It actually didn't really matter because we kept doing that before. And you know, they kept saying, you know what you should do? One of the white hat rules is when you get a link, ask for a link that matters. They gave us that advice. Make sure that that link votes for something that matters. So use the keyword that is your main keyword, Florida real estate. Ask for that. That's the number one thing you should do. And you're supposed to do that. And now you did that. We're supposed to be right. And boom, headshot off, caught in the crossfire. You did exactly what you were told, and now you're dead.
which is crazy. I mean, like how you can't like really live on whatever whim. You know how he wakes up that day and what he decides to do, and you can't like build your whole business on it, on something so variable and so like unstable as these like all these set rates.
Correct.
It just like blows my mind a little bit.
And the same thing happens on other platforms like
Yeah, yeah,
Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. So Fooksters, that's why we're gonna have a members only site.
definitely, yes.
Okay, that's why I'm not gonna Instagram. I mean, maybe a little bit here and there just to spread the word stuff. But I'm not gonna engage with anybody. We're gonna have a members only
Yeah.
site. You can ask me any questions you want about entrepreneurship, and I'll answer for basically free, right? And essentially, there's not. Well, I'm not gonna charge. I'm gonna be rich on my own, no matter what. I just want to inspire you. And the episode is getting
Yes.
close to
Shed
close.
knowledge.
But I want to make sure I answer all the questions about mass realty. But just so basically, what happened is mass realty, right? I had to wind it down, and one of my friends, consultant friends, right, were basically I had
Hmm.
consulted for this guy, right, and he was basically a client, and he had started a company called Bentcore. So it's actually a really nifty company. He was trying to like again bootstrap a company, and he knew how to bootstrap it using my technology. I could basically charge him a lot less because I was a friend of mine had recommended me to him, and I said I'm gonna give you a discount, but I could use these funds to open more states because I was trying to spend all this money, which I didn't get to save at all, right? Even though I made all this money because I was pouring it all into expanding, so I had no savings. Because if I can just get to 1 million, which I was there, everything above that would be profit, which was getting there. So 1 month at the peak, we would make $45,000 in ads every month for 2-3 months in a row. I was like, I'm there, right? And then that's when it starts to unwind. So I had no savings, everything, and I got to consult to see if I can last through this crisis. And so I had consulted with this guy named
Okay.
Raymond, and Raymond's actually the co-founder of Clinical Research IO. Okay, and then Raymond had gone to Harvard Law School, and he had gone and worked for BCG. He went to Harvard undergrad, and so we had the Harvard connection. And he had bought this business in clinical research, and he's like, "There's some issues in clinical research, and I think there's some things we could do with making it electronic." And so he's like, "Let's do something," and that's how we started Clinical Research IO in 2016.
Awesome.
So we'll talk about that in the next
Next
episode.
time.
But we also, or the one after that, but also we're gonna talk about mass realty.
Like phase
Because
two
maybe you
kind
could talk more about mass realty now. So mass realty now, like screw Google, right? Who we're gonna go to, Roberto? We're gonna go to where? YouTube instead.
Yep.
And could you maybe talk more about the new mass realty and how it's gonna be
Yeah,
a little
for
bit
sure.
different?
Everything's gonna be like video based, and you need something, we got it. Like you want to see what this place looks like? Check us out. You need if we don't have it yet, we'll make it for you. So whatever you like, what parks are around this section of Massachusetts? There's a video for that. It's here. It's real people going to the real places. It's not like just how it used to be 10 years ago or 5 years ago. It's like this is a day old or a couple of days old, and it's all actual information on everything that you would want to know before you buy the house, before you move into that neighborhood, before you even start looking. You have us to help you out with that.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I guess what Roberto's saying, like, do you rather have one person who's a real estate agent show you around, or you want the entire community of people living there making videos for you? And then we have this Quora feature that Roberto was referring to, where you can ask a
Yep.
neighbor, ask a parent, a student who will go to that school, ask the community, and they'll make a video
You get
answer
real
for you.
answers.
And then everywhere that we go, everything, all the content we have would be 100% video, with some text as
Yep.
well, right? But it will be always video
Yes.
first. And then the idea is you can hopefully bring your phone around with our app, and then be able to see these videos almost as if you're in like, that movie Minority Report. You see all the different icons in front of all the different stores and all the different products and all the different schools and stuff. Well, you hit play, and that could be a community member talking about how awesome that school is, or what to eat at that restaurant, or the best dish that they prefer to eat when they go
Yeah.
there, and how
Yeah,
delicious
you get
it
the
is. And so the idea is we're going to reinvent not only the real estate process, but the travel process of going virtually exploring a neighborhood. Because sometimes you're not ready to buy a house, but you want to kind of find out like where you want to live and stuff. So it's kind of like a fun entertainment. Dream homes, for example, right? Could be
Yeah.
something that would be interesting. But
like
dream neighborhoods, like
find the
understanding
spot
what people
that is right
want.
for you and your family, and without having to go through like like living there for 10 years to get to know like, oh, this restaurant or this place or this, like there's this little spot in this section of the city that you just know because you've been there for like the past 10 years. Now you just get to move there and have all this information from real locals that love the area where they live in.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like the
Hmm.
old lady. It's like I want to have the old
Yes,
lady. So the old
exactly.
lady is like you walk into this neighborhood, you run to this old lady, you help her with her groceries, so she dropped it. She's like, young man, that was really nice. Can I help you with anything? I'm like, I'm looking to buy a house. Can you tell me more about
Yeah.
this neighborhood? It's like, since you're so nice, let me tell you for 15
Yeah.
minutes,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then you encapsulate that and you hit play at 2 p.m., 2 a.m. from the neighborhood, from down the street, from across the globe, and it's the same old lady, and it becomes a time capsule,
Yes.
right? So when the aliens come and they're like, I wonder what old lady thought of the neighborhood back then, they go to masterity.com, right?
Yes, they're gonna go and
That'll be
Google it.
really exciting.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, but that's the kind of mission that I wanted to go on. I was like, I wanted to do
Yeah.
something special. I'm like, I felt like real estate's ripe for disruption. The going back to this whole cowboy thing where you go back to that village or that township where the person knows Frank and Frank knows Joe, and now you have this internet
Yeah.
instead,
Yeah.
and you have these videos of people who are gig workers too. Because I also want to create a new type of journalism. Because if you think about the jobs that are out there, you can do Uber driving, you can do what? DoorDash, delivering people's stuff. Maybe you can do some art, maybe like as a contractor. But how to be a journalist? How about you go and you explore your neighborhood, make money while doing it,
Yeah, show
right?
off those
And
like
like you
hiking
come
trails. Go
come
trail,
back.
go walk, record stuff.
Yeah.
Like all you have to do is come back with that information. Like you just go look for whatever
Yeah,
information and bring it back to the rest of us who weren't with you on that trail or weren't with you in that neighborhood or like everybody else. Just come back with that
yeah,
information.
and like simple
Yeah.
stuff. Simple stuff like how the people freaking photobomb each other. My wife every time she goes to eat somewhere, she photobombs everybody. I understand why now. Okay. Okay, because you want to, but then I realized, what? Instead of
Hmm.
photobombing people, what if you just, a mass roti, you can just record you eating it and just say, when you go to that restaurant, instead of craning
Yeah.
your neck and seeing what everyone else is eating, you
Order
just go to the
this.
app and say, okay, what are the five best
Yes.
dishes? Let me see them like eating it, reviewing it, and photobombing me on purpose. Like I want that photobomb at that point, and strangers photobombing me
Yeah.
is okay. Because I want to know
You
what's
made
good
like
here.
this
So
sense
that's a
of
feature that someone should add it, but we're gonna add
yeah,
that feature. That's
sense
kind
of
of hot,
community.
right?
Huh? Like if somebody's there and you're like, hey, like what are you having? You're like, and then you just go up to somebody else's table and just talk to them and hang out with them and get to like be part of the community. I think like that's one of the aspects of like of like life in general right now is that we have this disconnection with our neighbors and everybody that's been around us. We just like walk into our apartments, go home, and like that was it.
Yeah. Well, what? I think someone's calling me. I have to take this
Well,
call
let's end it here
probably,
then,
and
and we'll
other
check it out.
business stuff. But you know what? If you like this show, Fooksters, if you like what we're talking about, if you like to learn some more of these secrets, so I hopefully you learn about
Yeah,
SEO, right?
and the
See,
importance of it.
SEO, you got to think about. You got to reverse engineer who's writing it. Like they're not bad people, right? They're just trying to think it through. But then when they think it through, you're like, wow, I understand what I'm supposed to do now to be white hat. And you can still be white hat now. I'm not saying that Google did something wrong. It's just that you have to adapt, and you have to learn, you have to understand, and maybe we can explain it to you. But it's like an ever-changing world where we live in interesting times, my friend. And technology has changed behavior of people, of businesses, of ways to be successful. And hopefully we share this with you on the show and you found this useful. If you can, please subscribe. Please share with your friends. We also have some big announcements coming soon, hopefully with
Soon.
Phuc Labs. And we have some big opportunities for Master OT as well. And hopefully you guys will also join us at the webinars, where at some point we will present and actually train people how to build their own website using our technology. And we can open source masterot.com. We can open source as much as we can in terms of know-how and share our leverage, whether it be code, specific knowledge, or hopefully we can also build a team of Fooksters who can share media access right to each other and spread the love and help kind of bring us to the Star Trek generation where we don't care about money, but we care about helping each other and really making this not just opportunity to make money, but an opportunity to make a big difference. So thank you. Anything else to add,
No,
Roberto?
we're good
Or
with that. just be a community.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay. Talk to you guys next.
Bye.